Welcome to the Bizarre Survivors. We dissect global financial threats and provide the strategy you need to survive. Subscribe now and prepare your survival kit. The modern world runs on a paradox. A decentralized network of electric vehicles, smartphones, and global data centers, all powered by a profoundly centralized resource. We speak of lithium, the light reactive metal whose scarcity transforms it from a chemical element into a geopolitical weapon. It underpins the entire shift from fossil fuels to battery technology, yet the true vulnerability of this transition is not technological, it is financial and territorial. As demand skyrockets, the economic fault lines become visible. We are witnessing the beginning of the Silent White War, a conflict fought not with missiles, but with mining permits, infrastructure spending, and predatory sovereign debt. The financial stakes are immense, turning vast salt flats and remote deserts into the most crucial geopolitical battleground of the 21st century. When we analyze the flow of capital, we see that the survival of major economies, from Detroit's automotive future to Silicon Valley's server farms, is fundamentally tied to a few thousand square miles of land. This reality instantly captures the essence of the survival threat, a global system reliant on a supply chain bottleneck. The data reflects a systemic loss of confidence in the long-term stability of the supply, evidenced by the explosive cyclical nature of lithium futures. The price volatility alone tells a story of desperation and fierce competition for the essential resource. Nations are no longer merely seeking to secure oil. They are battling for the raw materials of the next economy. This conflict demands a new financial survival strategy, one that looks beyond currency to the underlying scarcity. Now, let's open the economic blueprints and deconstruct the story of this bizarre survival threat. The scarcity of lithium and the financial security it promises has forged what we term the geopolitical triad. This triad consists of three key players: the nations that control the supply, the lithium triangle of Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia; the nation that controls the processing and refinement, China; and the nations that control the end demand and intellectual property, the United States and the European Union. The geopolitical hunt is for control over the weakest link in this chain. When we analyze the investment patterns, we see that China has strategically dominated the midstream, the refining and processing, where over 60% of the world's lithium chemicals are made. This wasn't an accident. It was a calculated move to establish a choke point. The United States, having failed to secure the supply in the ground, is now aggressively using policy, like the Inflation Reduction Act, to stimulate domestic mining and, crucially, domestic refining. This effort to bypass the established choke point is a defensive financial survival maneuver designed to hedge against future supply chain weaponization. The tension is most acutely felt in the lithium triangle. These resource-rich nations are suddenly at the center of a high-stakes bidding war, trapped between competing geopolitical philosophies. We observe a financial conflict where major economic powers use debt-trap diplomacy and massive infrastructure investment as levers. China might offer to build an entire rail network in exchange for exclusive, long-term mineral rights, essentially bartering infrastructure for natural capital.
Transparency is
Meanwhile,
non-negotiable.
the U.S. and its allies push for transparency and Western corporate investment structures. The battle here is over jurisdiction and ownership, not just extraction. It's a fundamental economic myth-busting moment. The idea that free market competition is the primary driver is incorrect because state-sponsored entities and long-term geopolitical strategy are manipulating the asset allocation at the source. This is a deliberate state-level hunt for financial resilience, where controlling the resource is viewed as superior to controlling the currency used to buy it. The geopolitical dynamics are clear. If you cannot mine it, you must refine it. If you cannot refine it, you must invent a way around it. The survival of an industrialized economy now hinges on this resource. The inevitable delivery of this geopolitical friction is a world where financial survival is increasingly decoupled from fiat currencies. The rise of the resource conflict, exemplified by lithium, forces a critical shift in how we approach asset allocation and national resilience. The bizarre survival strategy emerging from this crisis is a return to a sophisticated form of bartering, where trade agreements are backed not by mere dollars or yuan, but by the physical collateral of essential resources. We see evidence of this in high-level state contracts where access to energy or mineral assets is exchanged directly for technology or infrastructure, bypassing traditional financial instruments altogether. For the savvy survivor, this economic shift necessitates a new survival kit. The traditional portfolio, stocks, bonds, cash, becomes vulnerable when the underlying supply chains that support industrial production fracture. Therefore, the strategic adaptation involves exposure to the asset and market niche. Investing in the physical commodities, the refining technology, or the nations that possess resource sovereignty. When we analyze the market, the sustained high valuation of companies with proven local refining capacity reflects this systemic move away from pure financial speculation toward tangible, operational control. This is the future outcome. An economy where the velocity of raw materials, the lithium, the rare earth elements, the water, dictates the stability of entire industries, overshadowing traditional monetary policy concerns. The crisis strategist understands that controlling the inputs of the future is the only viable hedge against geopolitical instability and currency depreciation. The delivery of this strategy is resilience built on the ground, not in the cloud. The journey through the lithium supply chain reveals a profound truth. The world is accelerating towards resource-backed governance. The geopolitical maneuvers, the strategic investments, and the underlying technological demands all point to an era where the material assets, the tangible elements of industrial survival, regain supremacy over purely abstract financial constructs. This investigation into the silent white war illustrates that the most crucial survival strategy is to read the global economic blueprints for what they truly are: maps of scarcity. By deconstructing the high-stakes conflict over a single, light metal, we gain a sense of wonder about the human ingenuity driving these cutting-edge strategies for survival, reminding us that resilience is found not by running from the crisis, but by strategically owning the resources that define the future.